What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Washington Commanders, the Aftermath. I'm your host, Martin Livewire Sports Media, along with my good friend Merle Neiman. Um, we will recap yesterday's game between the New England Patriots and the Washington Commanders, where the Washington Commanders pull off, they held off the New England Patriots by a score of 20-17. But nevertheless, we're going to examine detail with the about the team and everything like that. But without further ado, you already know what we do about this time. We hit you with the intro.
And coming with the intro.
Yes, there you go.
After the game, it's the aftermath. Win or lose, we still wave our Commanders flag. Riding with Wentz under center, making the pass. Jahan Dotson, young rookie, making a splash. That burgundy and gold, that's what we about. Jonathan Allen knocking QBs to the ground. We die hard and nobody can shut us down. Cause this is the greatest show in town. Let's go. Go, 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 go.
All right, so we back. Now, as I stated earlier in this top of the show, was that the Washington Commanders, they held off the New England Patriots by a score of 20-17, where we saw this game, I kind of would say it was a balance between defense and offense. Now, there was still some things that the offense could do, but nevertheless, there was some great things that the Commanders did, and there's some not so good things that the Commanders did. But this all will take time and everything. But Merle, I want you to give me your assessment of the game and what you've seen from the offense side of the ball first.
Well, offensively, we're seeing, for starters, we're seeing the continued maturation of, can we call him rookie sensation now, Sam Howell?
We could say it's a second-year rookie sensation.
Yep. I tell you, just watching the kid play, you expect him to do things that quarterbacks just don't normally do. And I tell you, that 3rd and 23, that was pretty special to go back and get it on the ground. And then just, to see him, he can do things with a football that quarterbacks just don't do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of accuracy, and I think it comes to the fact that he was a baseball pitcher in high school, and a pretty darn good one. Is that having that ability to put a baseball in an exact spot, 60 feet 6 inches away from you. You can see what happened is that on that touchdown to Dotson.
Yeah.
Man, that was just a beautiful throw, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Throw that thing on a dime, and all Dotson had to just put his hands up there and catch it and just not drop it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't drop it that time. And that's all he needed. I'm not so worried about that. I'm not so worried about the interception. You take away the Buffalo game, he hasn't thrown more than one interception in a single game.
Nope.
And, when you're throwing the ball 40, 45 times a game, he threw it, 40, 30, he was like 29 for 42, something like that. 325 yards, touchdown, and an interception. Hey, those are pro numbers. Those just aren't pro numbers. That's a day at the office for an all-pro quarterback.
Exactly.
And I'll say this, I don't throw the term franchise quarterback around very lightly. I was talking online to somebody about this. I don't think we've necessarily had a true franchise quarterback in my lifetime. And my lifetime includes Sonny Jurgensen and Joe Theismann.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to go all the way back to Slingin' Sammy Baugh and go, well, what do you mean? Well, Slingin' Sammy Baugh, back in his time in the 40s, he owned the National Football League. He could take over a game. He was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Tom Brady is a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers is a franchise quarterback. Brett Favre, Terry Bradshaw, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana. These are names that you don't throw around very lightly. RG3 was never a franchise quarterback. Neither was Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure. Joe Theismann had a couple of really good years with the team.
Yeah.
Took a team to the Super Bowl. I was there for that. He was also, I remember, if you remember towards the end, he had Jay Schrader breathing down his neck. And, Lawrence Taylor seemed to solve that discussion. He was a great quarterback. He's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Yeah, he does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. He had a few good seasons. I don't necessarily think that counts you as a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Sam Howell is somebody that can be a franchise quarterback.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
And the fact that he's been able to do what he's done with a line that has been much maligned, although improving. Number 8, he got 64 yards and he got 64 yards on the ground and a touchdown. That's the offensive line doing their job. And New England is not a bad defense.
No. And they had a couple of people that was out, you know what I'm saying?
Well, okay, so that might have something to do with it. But we're seeing the ability for Washington to start to establish the running game, but where it's coming from is that there's a couple things that are happening. First thing is that Sam Howell has been listening to the criticism. And the fact is that he had been holding the ball too long in a number of circumstances.
Yep.
And if you look, they showed a graphic I think it was during the second quarter. This was even before the 3rd and 23. But he had the number of plays where he got rid of the football in under 2.5 seconds had gone from like 40% to 60%. And when you make that difference right there, those are sacks. That's why there was only 1 sack in the game against Philadelphia. There were 3 sacks yesterday, but 2 of those were on. Actually, all 3 of them were on the line. I don't think any of those were on Sam. He's getting the ball out a lot faster, and the great thing is that his accuracy is not suffering. His accuracy is pretty much otherworldly. Just the way, I mentioned this to you in the lead up, that he's just putting that ball right there.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Just watching the game yesterday, just seeing how he was able to move out the pocket. The one play that I really love, when he scrambled to his right, he rolled out, scrambled to his right, and he back foot and he threw it back across there.
Yes,
to Pringle. Got Pringle for that catch. I was like, oh my God, that shows more awareness. He started, and it started to remind me, I won't say, it's Patrick Mahomes like, because you see Patrick Mahomes do it so many times, but just to know that now you see the comfortability a little bit more with Sam Howell. Yep. You see how he's starting to feel the game more now. The game is starting to slow down for him a little bit more. And I said this today at work. I say, this team is going to be so scary especially going into next year. And the thing about it is, if they, you know this just as well as I know this, Merle. A team can start cold in the beginning of the season, but then that second half of the season, it only takes something to happen to the team. It could be by trade, injury, or makeshift. You remember last year we had issues with our offensive line. What did we do? We changed it up. We ran the ball more, and Sam Howell, not Sam Howell, but Taylor Heineke was a quarterback. We ran off 4 straight wins into a route to where we could have gotten into the playoffs. I think this year, if the, with the trade of Chase and Montez, I think these guys are ready to. They feel like a big burden has lifted off of them. That's the way I look at how they was playing yesterday. They played totally different yesterday than I see, and I must echo what John Allen says. Sam Howell is our franchise quarterback.
Yeah, definitely.
He's the offensive line played better. Just Leno always find a way to have one bad play throughout the game.
Yeah, I mean he did almost get Sam Howell killed.
Yeah,
I mean that play one is that one where he just got blasted. Leno, I gotta say that having one of those quarterbacks, and again, even at this point, it's for a short period of time. Now, I will say this. Sam Howell is a smart kid. He was going to Carolina regardless of his football skills, regardless of his ability to throw a baseball or to lead a team. He is a smart kid. He comes from a good family. He's had good coaching until he's gotten here anyway. And what we're seeing is, I mean, it's his makeup. I mean, we've known that he's had this kind of makeup. The thing that's absolutely crazy are just some of the things that I'm seeing him do physically on the field. People talk about, he makes all the throws. Well, yes, he makes all the throws. And the thing is, quarterbacks just don't make all the throws anymore.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Joe Burrow can be good for 2 or 3 picks in a game.
Yeah.
He's done this multiple times over his career. Matthew Stafford, same thing. Matthew Stafford, it's like between him and Phillip Rivers, it's like, I mean, how many interceptions can either of you guys put up?
And Phillip Rivers used to throw some.
Yeah, but he'd also throw 5 touchdown passes. It's just the same thing. And this is something that you're going to get with a quarterback that is going to throw the ball 40 times. Now, once you get a more solid offensive line that is going to allow you to consistently run the ball on first and second downs if you choose to, then now all of a sudden you're not going to have to throw 40 to 50 times in a game.
Yeah.
You can now get down to that 30 to 35, which is going to be, I think, Sam Howell's wheelhouse for most of his career. And with 30 to 35 attempts, he'll complete 26 to 28 of them every week.
Yeah.
And that will be a nice career, and we'll see what that brings us. So, okay, you've got that. We've got some receivers that can catch the football and can run some good routes.
Yeah.
Some that need to do a better job at catching the football when it comes to clutch moments. Dotson and McLaurin both have dropped passes.
Yeah, Terry would have had a touchdown yesterday if he didn't drop one.
Yeah.
Diami would have had a touchdown if he didn't drop one. probably would have in the interception at the end of the first half. Sam Howell probably would have had a 4 touchdown day yesterday.
We could be instead of 4-5, we could be 6-3.
Yep.
You know, I mean, literally, that's the difference between some of these drop passes.
If you think about it, you go back, say what besides the Buffalo loss, that probably would have been our own loss if we had beat the Giants and we beat the Eagles twice. We could have been
We were never in the Chicago game.
yeah.
We came back
What?
to
Oh yeah.
thing, but the thing is that other than those two games, you know, everything else, I mean, we could be 7-2 right now.
Yeah.
We were in all of those games. The thing is, what we're seeing an improvement on the offensive line. It is a dramatic improvement on the offensive line. And we're seeing Sam Howell not be hesitant. He's reading that better. And that's what turned third and 23 into a first down.
Yeah. And another thing you think about it, and correction on that, because you did besides the Buffalo and the Chicago game, so we probably would have only lost 2 games instead of. So we would have had we actually would have had probably
7-2.
7-2. We'd have had the best, probably the second best record in the NFC right now. But nevertheless, I still think this team. And if you go back and look how much time the last 2 games, you see how much, even in the Philly game, it showed how much time Sam Howell had in the pocket. He was able to sit there just a few minutes to survey the field to find his receivers. And I'm gonna give Jamison Crowder a whole lot of credit because he is the epitome of a possession receiver. He finds those spots. And even though I like Curtis Samuel, but he is not that kind of receiver. He's more of a gadget guy, you know, per se. You know, he can't catch down the field. He could do all this stuff. But when you talk about them slot receivers, you got to look at Julius Edelman. You got to look at Danny Amendola. You got to look at Wes Walker. You know what I'm saying? Cooper Kupp. You know, Jamison Crowder has that kind of pedigree because he's a quarterback's best friend.
Oh yeah, and you know, it's the great thing about Jamison Crowder is how at this stage of his career he's been able to completely remake it. If you remember the first go around in Washington, we were not singing his praises.
No.
The question has always been, when is Jamison Crowder going to live up to his expectations?
Exactly.
And some of the off the field stuff was going on at that point. And he had to leave. But the great thing is that late in his career, I mean, he turned things around, and he turned things around with the Jets. But coming back and saying,
Well, it looks like Murrow or Harry, he's coming back in.
oh yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
No problem. Go
Well,
ahead
yeah,
and
no,
you was talking about Jamison Crowder, yeah.
And just to button that up, it's great to see Crowder coming back to Washington, realizing that he's not the man anymore, right? It's Terry McLaurin's wide receiver core, and Dotson is the young stud along with Samuel. You know, Crowder said, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to return punts. And I'm not just going to return punts. I'm going to be good at it. And when I get an opportunity to get on the field with the offense and I do get a look, I'm going to make sure that I make the most of it. and that's why he's running those routes across the middle.
Yep.
And he's doing those things. And I tell you, Crowder at this point is perfect for a kid like Dotson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Crowder's been in Dotson's ear from the minute Crowder got back here, making sure that Dotson gets his head on straight. And I think that maybe is that Crowder's influence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certain has to do with, or at least partially, how Dotson has been able to kind of turn things around these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree with you on that because Dotson has, if you look at his route running now, he's starting to find them same kind of seam, them right in the patch of the defense where receivers and tight ends live in that donut. They call it a donut hole.
Yep.
And if you look at Crowder's route running for the last two games, he was able to find that seam where Sam Howell would be able to dump the ball off to him just for the extra yards, whether if he was under duress or not. And now you got guys like Pringle stepping up. You know what I'm saying? You got Diami out there. You still got Teasley out there. You got all these guys. And the thing about the beauty of it, the running backs also contribute into the passing game. So it's make it so much dynamic where defenses have to, I mean, they could blitz, but at the same time, if you over blitz, you're gonna get caught because the offensive line, it has shown now that they can protect well, and you got guys that's out in the slot like a Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. Then you all of a sudden you throwing deep corner slants or deep crossing routes to either Terry and then Terry Dotson, all of these different guys. You have weapons at your disposal, and that's the beauty of it. And because I was talking to Cool and his sister on their show a couple of weeks ago, and they familiar with Sam Howell. I'm familiar with Sam Howell because being a Miami Hurricane fan, I had to deal with him, relentlessly. What's going on, Burgundy Gold? How you feeling, bro? Good evening. So you gotta think, and once Sam Howell gets an offensive line under his belt, he's going to have time to dissect the field. It's going to be a thing of beauty. And just to see him able to sit back there, yeah, he got sacked 3 times, but I mean, it was not like he was getting sacked a lot. He was just, he was under the rest. It was just some stuff that, he tried to.
One of them was purely on Leno.
Yeah, that one was on Leno.
Yeah, it was that the one was purely on Leno, and one. I think there was another situation where somebody missed a blocking assignment, and they got right in, and I think that was like that for the third. I've got to go back and look at tape, but I think with Sam Howell, and there's some things that they don't talk a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that I want to mention is what he's did on third downs. The 3rd and 23 play we've talked about a couple times. We've also brought up the play that he threw across the field. That was a 3rd and 8, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, definitely.
We were very, very efficient on third down, and part of the reason we were so efficient on third down is if you look at the receiving numbers, Howell he completed passes to 8 different receivers. Yesterday. Again, he's a rookie. How often does that happen when you're completing passes to 8 different receivers? It means that you have the full playbook already.
Yeah.
Nothing is dumbed down. You're not having problems, and he's hitting 8 receivers, and 60% of his passes are coming out of his hand in 2.5 seconds or less.
Exactly.
And take a look at his throwing motion.
Exactly. Good. Good observation on Burgundy and Gold. Sam did an amazing job throwing the ball away on Sunday. He actually did. He did. He
Yeah.
didn't take. He made sure that if the play was there, he got the ball out of his. And I love his decisiveness where he was able to like either throw the ball away, run, get a couple of yards, or find the open man. Yesterday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He had 9 receivers.
9 receivers, he says.
9 receivers. Terry had the most yards, 73. Dotson had 69 with the 1 touchdown. Pringle had 55. Gibson had 42. De'Ami Brown had 33. Logan Thomas had 31. Crowder had 23 on 4 targets. Brian Robinson only 4 yards. And then John Bates had that -5 when he was that slip screen he tried to run up.
Oh, okay, all right. I think that'd have been the one that I would have missed.
Yeah.
But
So
still 9-8. When you look, and this is not the first time it's happened, is that regularly this kid. So when you go to that question, it's like, well, what happens next year, where it may be a foregone conclusion that there's going to be completely new coaching staff, and completely new coaching staff can mean a completely new offense. With Sam Howell, I'm not worried about a completely new offense at all. Yeah, I'm certain that Eric Bieniemy is going to get every opportunity to see if he can work his way into coaching this team. And I'm certain that he's at least going to get an opportunity to interview for the job.
And to that point is a very important question I do want to ask you later on in the show, because it leads to what you just said, because I had this brought up to me today. So therefore, I'm going to bring it up to you later on.
Okay.
So now we're going to turn our attention to the defensive side of the ball.
All right.
The defense. Now, the defense didn't get no sacks, but if you watch the game, they got a lot of quarterback pressure. They pushed the pocket to where Matt, what's the dude name? Matt Jones. Matt Jones had to hurry some of his throws, and he had to get the ball out quicker, because I think what it was, knowing that we didn't have Sweat or Chase there, was they didn't know what to expect from us. They didn't know who was going to be on each side. And you saw James Smith-Williams got closer. You saw if you look at Toohill, he had a lot of push that opened up some stuff for other guys. Then the one KJ Henry came in and sacked the quarterback and caused a fumble, which that would have put us in excellent field position, but they call it roughing the passer, which that was not a roughing the passer. And then even Dan Bandino, he said that was a bad call. They tried to clean it up because Nikki Javala said in her column that the referee broke it down, said that he did not roll off the quarterback or did an alligator roll. But I went back and looked. When he sacked him, he slid off of him.
Yeah.
So therefore, there was no chest-to-chest slam down. He tackled him and kind of slid off him. So you kind of like cheated the play. So KJ, that would have been our only sack of the game through KJ. And I did like how fast he got back there. He was really quick. And that's something that you could utilize, because even though we had Chase or Montez quickness, not saying James Smith-Williams or Toohill can't get it done, but they bring something different and a whole different look. And you alluded to early in the show that we didn't give up no big plays. That was something excellent that I love, that we didn't give up. We gave up certain plays, but we didn't give up the big plays where it could have hurt us. You know what I'm saying? And I have to give credit to this one young man who returned to the game and had himself a really great game yesterday, Emmanuel Forbes. He almost had him a pick six yesterday, but the receiver did his job of defending from the backside, which could have been called, offense pass interference.
Could have been.
Yeah. But just to see the defense showing something different, which I like, because to me, I like more of a unity, a group unity, when everybody's flowing together. Whether you're getting sacked or not, You slow down the run. You put clamps on the run. You only gave up one big run, and that was a 64-yard to Stevenson. But if you take that away, they wouldn't have had nothing but 40-something yards rushing on the day. So the Commanders did a really excellent job. So that was the only big play they gave, but not through the air, but on the ground. And I'll let you go ahead and take it from that point.
I'm really, really happy with the way the defense played yesterday. The one thing I noticed is that they gave us 60 minutes of football. From they weren't taking any plays off, and you didn't see so many instances where we have defenders that were just way out of position. And usually those defenders were named Chase and Young. But that's and I think that although Williams and Tooley are not the athletic specimens that Chase Young and Montez Sweat are, I think they're both better football players. And I think they both understand the game of football a little better. And I think they are able to work within a team concept better. And I think for people that they can't understand that, if you think about it in your job, if you've ever worked with somebody that will just say was not a great hire, that this person may be really good at what they do, that they may get a lot of sales, or they may be really great with the customers, but interpersonal relationships in the department or dealing with suppliers or whatnot, this person could be an absolute nightmare. And sometimes that negativity is not worth the value they bring.
Yeah.
I think that when you start putting 2 and 2 together, when you add up some comments, that I think that the entire team was pretty okay with Chase Young going.
Yeah.
Montez Sweat hurt a little bit, but at the same time, Montez Sweat probably wasn't coming back. And I think either of them would have re-signed for something that Harris was willing to do, because Harris is not going to go through another Harden situation here. And not again.
Oh yeah.
So the thing there is that these trades get made, and the defense has their best team game of the season.
Yep. And to add to that is that I love the rotation, keeping everybody fresh, which they did. I love how they, even though the receivers caught the ball right in the middle, they swarmed to the ball. They kind of like was right there. They was playing physical. And then when that roughing the passer penalty got forced, you seen that the Commanders kind of like got really like nasty. They had a nasty attitude about
and that was because the thing is that yes, that call was what it was. And there have been more and more of these questionable calls been up in NFL games. It's happening to us. We've actually benefited from at least one of those calls during that game as well. All I'm going to say to this, we are now in a world where gambling is legal. Where they're actually discussing parlays in pre-games and actually during the contest. Even NFL officials make an average of $200,000 a year. The highest paid officials make $250,000.
Yeah.
There are no criminal penalties for fixing a sporting event of any kind. It's entertainment. I mean, so the worst penalty a official can receive is to lose his or her job. And if you're only making 250 and you could legitimately, God knows how much money is being thrown at them. I think we're in a situation where, and this is all I'm going to say about this, is that I think that we may need to look at how much we pay officials. Because they're not making enough money, and there's an awful lot more money being bet now on every single football game. That maybe we want to think about that in the future. That's something maybe that some people higher up the food chain might want to consider having a conversation with.
Yeah.
But that notwithstanding is that you look at when a questionable call like this happened earlier in the season, let's say in Chicago, where it's like Chase Young, not the non-call for the holding.
The Terry McLaurin
I
sideline.
mean, it's like that when those things happened in the first quarter and early in the second quarter, it's like the team gave up, and Chicago easily scored those points. And although Sam Howell had by all accounts, he had a brilliant football game. It's just that you're playing, you gave up so many points in the first half that there's really there just wasn't enough. Maybe if there was a fifth quarter.
And he jumps off again, but he will be right back. Overall, my observation is that there you go. There you
And
go.
we're back in. Technical difficulties again. I apologize.
So yeah, but
Can you
and
hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear you at all.
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Nope. I can hear you now. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. I can hear you.
I don't know what's happening. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Because I can't hear you at all.
All right, hold on. All right, can you hear me?
Can you say something?
Merle. Merle.
Hey, I'm
Can
gonna
you?
come. I'm gonna go all the way out and come back in. We'll try that.
Okay. But anyway, guys, for the most part, the Commanders played a solid game overall. There's still some things that we can still work on down the stretch. We do go. We do head to Seattle this weekend to play the Seattle Seahawks, who got blasted by the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. Um, I do believe the Commanders could win this game. I think that Seattle, after a great start, has starting to show some sign of weakness. And I do believe the Commanders are on the verge of start to play more of a complete football game. Merle.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, all right. Sorry
All right.
about that, folks.
No problem, no problem. As we was going on and on talking about the defense and so forth, I alluded to, I think this defense, now that you take away Chase and Montez, they're going to play as a complete group, not just an individual, thing. Because if you look at, I always compare the Commanders to the 49ers, even though they done lost 3 games. But you need a group of guys. Yeah, you might got a couple guys here and there that are um that they're gonna have individual stats. But at the end of the day, we gotta look at it like this: is that you rotate guys in, you bring fresh guys in, you still keep different scheme, you play solid type defense. Quan Martin came in, gave some. I mean, he was on a blitz that he almost got to the quarterback. Then he came up with a game-ending interception to kill the drive off a tip pass. Then you got to think, Kendall Fuller was out there. Manuel Forrest was trailing. He was all over, knocking balls down, killing drives. They was able to get off the field, kept their defense fresh. The offense was able to keep the defense on the bench, move drives, even if they went three, drives died down the field, but not so much of a quick three and out, good three and out, three and out. They That's the thing that the offense got to understand, because you got a solid defense. You don't want to constantly put them out. You want to sustain drives long enough to get them a rest, even if you don't score. But if you do have long drives, Washington offense they controlled the clock. They had the most time of possession yesterday. So they kept New England wasn't able to do anything. And every time they tried to do something, they either, because they was trying to call for pass interference so much, it was just sickening me. But I just think that with the fact that Washington is starting to gel, and I think these are kind of games that they continue to gel and become whole as a unit. We're not gonna get up into the individually statistics like Montez and all of them, but play as a unit, play together. And if you continue to do that and the offense continue to play the way they are, this team could probably run off at least 3 or 4 wins without us, really blinking our eye at that point. Because you gotta think, like when you was off air, I was talking about the Seattle game. Seattle just got blasted. Now, yeah, we have a tough schedule. Games on there that we could win, games on there we could lose. But at the same time, at the end of the day, if they continue to play like this, how they played for the last 2 weeks, last week and this week, I think this team could really show a lot of great promise, going from the end of the season to this year. Now, with that being said, the question that I wanted to ask you, because it was asked of me today, and me and a coworker was talking, and he asked me this. He said, "Serious question." He said, "Martin." I said, "Yes." He said, "What would you rather have? Your team make the playoff, or your team um, have a high draft pick?" And I said, "That's tough. That's a tough answer, because I even said this yesterday when I did my video after the game. I said, if this team wins 4 or 5 games or get into the playoff, do they still get rid of Ron Rivera?" So that's my question to you. How, if this team make it to the playoff, what do you see happening um, with the current coaching staff?
My guess is that Ron Rivera is coaching his last season of professional football. I think that he knows that this game has passed him by, especially with dealing with the health issues that he's dealt with. I've really seen the man age in these last few years, a lot more so. And then you look into the fact that his buddy there from the Chicago Bears in those days, Mongo McMichael, is in hospice right now. He's not going to make it. I think that, Ron Rivera, it may be time for him to kind of ride off into the sunset and enjoy, the life that he's been able to afford himself and his family. And I think it's the 16-hour days are done for him.
Yeah. So
anything short of anything short of winning the Super Bowl, he's not coming back. And I think even if he does win the Super Bowl, he's not coming back.
And so I do have another question on top of that one. All right. So I do believe this team could end up making the playoffs. That's what I do believe. I think with everything that we have seen the last 2 weeks, I think they could. Now, you did allude to about a new coaching staff. I do believe if this team makes the playoff, I do believe that Eric Bieniemy probably will take over for Ron Rivera. I think they will give Eric Bieniemy every opportunity to continue to work with Sam Howell. Me and you had this discussion, weeks, about Sam in another system, whether it would hurt him or not hurt him. But I think for what he has done this year, me personally, it's just my personal feel. I will want him to stay with Eric Bieniemy. I will want Eric Bieniemy to be the coach of this team. I do believe they are going to bring in some key personnel help, along the way. They already brought the analytics
Yeah, and
guy.
I think he'll have every bit. I think he'll have every opportunity. But I think at the same time, is you're going to hire a new general manager.
Yeah.
And the general manager is going to want to hire his own coach. That's what general managers do. So are you going to tell a general manager, hey, yeah, we want you to be the general manager of the football team, but this is our coach? What ends up happening is that you'll run into situations. I mean, we've put crazy demands on general managers, coaches, players for the last 20-some years under the Snyder regime. And you got to remember something with Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy is a Dan Snyder hire.
I think he was an emergency hire because
it was an emergency anyway, but he's a Dan Snyder hire. And honestly, I think that Eric Bieniemy has shown that he should get an opportunity to interview for the head coach of the Washington Commanders. And I'm not saying that he isn't the best possible candidate. I'm saying that he may end up on the outside looking in just simply because we're going to hire a new general manager, and that's just the way the business of football is. Now, that new general manager can turn around and hire Eric Bieniemy, and that may be the right thing to do. But I think that you'll see, what happens the rest of this season, because you got to remember something. Eric Bieniemy has a hand in why the offensive line is so terrible. And the thing is, and I'll say this. People are worried that because they talk about this. I mean, this was a big deal with some recent quarterbacks that we've had. With having different coaches or different offensive coordinators in different systems. It's not a big deal for Sam Howell. Sam Howell is a kid that would have made it to Carolina even if he wasn't a football player.
But to that point, also is that Eric Bieniemy was in Kansas City when they had a bad offensive line. Also, I mean, they lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady because of their
Well,
offensive line was bad,
well,
and they had to
it
fix
wasn't
it.
as bad as it wasn't as bad as the what this team was. I mean, this offensive line was historically bad, and
Yeah, I get
you
that
know the
because of the sacks Sam Howell has taken. I think,
and but then also I didn't see Eric Bieniemy lay any blocks. Neither did I see, neither did I see Jack Del Rio covering any, covering any tight ends. Not since the '80s anyway.
and
Um,
another thing is that even though it's Eric Bieniemy's offense running, but is also Ramos Vera the one that put this offensive line together because some of this offensive line been already there. So I mean, we could say Eric Bieniemy has some blame, but overall, it's
but
it.
I guess the thing what I was trying to get at is that at the end of the day, the success and failure of this team lies primarily on the players on the field. And
Yeah.
I think in certain instances, especially this, with all this hype around Bill Belichick and certain people in the local Washington media trying to talk about, hey, would Josh Harris be willing to trade for Bill Belichick, which is obviously insane. And but then even when I was reading some of the articles and listening to some of the reports and watching some of the things on TV, that it's like, well, Sam Howell is going up against Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not. He's going up against the Patriots. Bill Belichick was on the sidelines. And I think that for many reasons, we give a little bit too much importance to what the coaches do. Now, not want to minimize anything either, is that play calling is an important part of how you win football games. And if you're not calling good plays, you need to go.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't think, and I think overall you want to promote a good culture on the team. And I think that especially on the defense, you didn't have a good culture on that team. And if you want to blame Jack Del Rio for something, is probably his biggest sin is not benching Chase Young,
Yeah.
not benching Montez Sweat. You bench these characters. They may learn to drop back into pass protection every now and again.
Exactly. And I
And
think. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, and with Chase Young, I mean, how often would he just run right past the quarterback, right
Yeah.
past the play? I mean, he's 5 yards back of the play. I mean, it's this is where he's not showing up at OTAs.
And then and another thing too, if you watch the defense yesterday, they didn't really ran out of gaps. They stayed close in. They forced a lot of things inside. They forced a running game. They stifled. You didn't see guys running all over the place, looking lost and taking wide turns to get to the quarterback. They kind of everything stayed in the gap a little bit. And that's something that, oh, speaking of Chase Young, while we talking, is that Chase Young said that in his press conference interview with the 49ers today that he's around winners now. So I guess he's calling the guys in Washington, the players or whatever. Maybe it's a shot that they not winners, they losers. You know what I'm saying? But you got to understand, he got to
Well, you are
realize,
what your record is, so to a
yeah,
certain extent, I guess he's telling the truth. But at the same time, um, Chase Young's going to have to face us later in the season.
yeah. And
And
I said that's bulletin board material. And you best believe this team is going to be they listening. They're gonna be hyped for it. I don't. I all I know is that you as part of this team. You contribute to some of this. You know what I'm saying? So to go there and think to go there and think that, oh well, I'm around winners and everything, and everything's going to be all hunky dory for myself, and he jumps off again. So and he jumps off again. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see when the second to the last game of the season what Mr. Chase Young has to bring and how much talking he's done. I'm not gonna feed into what he's talking about. That's how it is. A player leaves us disgruntled or whatever the case might be. They have something negative to say, but at the end of the day, you're gonna still have to be that football player to perform on the field. You're gonna have to be the one because guess what? You are a rental to the 49ers right now. There
Oh
is
yeah,
no
I fully expect Chase Young to be wearing a Carolina Panther uniform next season, or a Raiders uniform.
yeah.
I think the thing is with Chase Young, and I hope he learns something here, that he is in a different organization, and he's not their number 2 draft pick.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he's got to prove himself.
Exactly.
And Chase Young is somebody that hasn't really had to prove himself ever.
Nope. At all. He has
He hasn't had to prove himself ever. So okay, Chase.
Bergen and Gold or in the Falcons uniform. That could be another option.
I don't know if we'll see,
I will
but
I will love it because then I could get to see we could get to play him every year. So, but the thing about it is that
I wish the kid the best. I think it's too bad. It's too bad that his father still feels the need at this stage to continue to do things like that. Same thing with RG3's dad. Did the same thing a few years back. We as sports parents need to kind of keep that out of it. And even if you say someone talks about it, is you want to be careful that
yeah.
It wasn't a good look. And right ahead of the trade deadline, it really looked to me like Chase Young didn't want to be there and is letting his dad fight his battles for him. So go. Off with you. We'll deal with you at a point where your selfish play could end up costing your team the division in the first round bye.
Exactly.
The 49ers are a playoff team. They're going to go to the playoffs, but they could, if they're not careful, they could play themselves into having to play in that wild card round.
Yep, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. So, and then guess what? Because if the 49ers do slip up and be a wild card, they could get bumped out early, go home early. Right now, I mean, like I said, that whole scenario. I mean, Washington is like only one game back of Minnesota. Everything could change in a couple
And
of
with Kirk
weeks.
Cousins out for the season, it's like all of a sudden we beat Seattle on Sunday, which we can. I mean,
Yeah.
The way we played Philadelphia, we can. All right, any given Sunday we can beat any team. Will we? I don't think so. I mean, I think at the end of the day that we're going to end up somewhere around, I'd say 8-9, 9-8, as kind of a. But I'd like to be proven wrong. I think that we have a quarterback that's capable of. I mean, it's like you don't want to say things, but when you've been watching football for as long as we have, and you see certain behaviors, um, yeah. So yeah, we're currently in the 8th seed.
Let me double check that Burgundy goal because after I had looked I looked at everything. Let me see. Let me see division playoffs seeding. Right now, Washington is the 8th seed. Right now, they're half a game behind. They're a game behind. So the thing about it is, Dallas is a 6th seed. Dallas 5-3. So Seattle leads their division. The Bears game would have been hard for us because we wasn't prepared. I do believe the Giants game we should have won, and the two Eagles game. That game would have right then and there. That's 7-2. We would have had a lot of momentum going in. But nevertheless, I don't think Minnesota is going to carry that weight. I do think Washington is going to push. They are focused on winning games now after this trade. They're not thinking about the draft or anything. They got picks and stuff. They addressed that in the offseason. I think this team is primed to win games to make the playoff. I think they have this attitude that I seen yesterday. They had this attitude that really shows that they capable. Now we have a capable offense to go along with a revamped decent defense. I think it's going to be exciting to see. If we take care of Seattle and we take care of the Giants before Thanksgiving playing Dallas, that puts us at let me see, that puts us at 6-5. So it's very doable. I mean, we do gonna have the Rams. We're gonna have Dallas twice.
Well,
We're gonna
I'd say this: let's get past Seattle.
yeah.
I mean, I think when it comes to the playoffs, I think Jim Morris said it best at this point.
Oh, Jim
playoffs,
playoffs. You kidding me?
And I think that's what we should be thinking right now. I mean, we're a 4-5 football team. We are a losing football team today. We should not be talking about playoffs. We should be talking about how we don't become a losing football team anymore.
I think that the attitude they're gonna take in each week will prove that. I think they're gonna take everything game by game. But with that being said, we're gonna wrap up another edition of the show. I'm sorry, but an hour does go by fast.
Oh yes, it does. Yes, it does. I was gonna, and also with the time change.
Yeah,
with the time change, I'm usually in bed by now. So.
I know it is kind of crazy. So Burgundy and Gold, thank you for stopping in. Come by anytime. Be sure to check out some of my videos. Monday nights at 8:00. That's when really this show starts. But I was running behind today. I had to push it back to 8:30. Thank you for stopping by. Glad to hear from you. Look forward to see you a little bit more. Merle, as always, my handy co-host, bringing a lot of knowledge and insights to us. Merle, you could tell all the good people where they could find you at.
Well, right here, you can also check out my YouTube channel, Between Two Guitars, the internet's new home for all things rock and roll, whether it's live music, vinyl reissues, new music. Go away again. But yeah, you can check me out there, or every Monday nights breaking down all the Washington Commanders action and getting ready for next week. It's going to be a good one on Sundays, so make sure y'all get a chance to check us out, and we'll see you back again here next Monday night at 8:00.
All right. With that being said, you can find me here Monday nights, Washington Commanders, the aftermath. We always break down every game after the Commanders play, either on Thursdays or Sundays or Saturdays, whenever they play, on Monday nights, whenever the case might be. Also, you can catch me Tuesday nights when I break down my Miami Hurricanes for Canes on the Daily. I always drop videos on either one of these teams. Even though basketball season here, I will not be doing no Chicago Bull videos until completely after the football season. So therefore, you can find me on X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, Livewire Sports Media, Facebook, and Instagram and TikTok as well. So with that being said, we will bless y'all with the intro one time, but y'all have a safe and beautiful night.
After the game, it's the aftermath. Win or lose, we still wave our Commnaders flag. Riding with Wentz under center, making the pass. Jahan Dotson, young rookie, making a splash. That burgundy and gold, that's what we about. Jonathan Allen knocking QBs to the ground. We die hard and nobody can shut us down. Cause this is the greatest show in town. Let's go. Go, 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 go.
All right.
And good show. Man.